Welcome back, everybody. So excited today. This is our Minds of Markets podcast. I am actually live here on the SIBO trading floor now. You're not going to see any activity behind me yet because for us here, it's 7 in the morning. But for my guest, who I am so excited to have on today, Mr. Shiv Sharma, he is 13 hours away from here, from in Chicago. He is live in Singapore. Shiv is the current president and GM of Stocktwits. Stocktwits is this unbelievable platform out there, guys, that we're going to get into shortly. Give us a quick overview. What is Stocktwits, and how did you get into Stocktwits? How did you transform over from Amazon, AWS, Cisco over here? And I love the Lacoste shirt, by the way.
Thanks, Scott. But first off, but awesome to be on the show, Scott. I'm a big fan of your work. I've followed you for a long time. Great pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
So I've been around this whole FinTwit ecosystem for a while, right? So I knew Howard Linson back in the Cisco days. We used to do VC deals together, and got to be friends in that era. And
Howard was the original founder of Stocktwits, right? Back in like 2012, 13, somewhere in there.
2009, actually.
Okay.
So he actually, exactly. So, but then back in 2009, but then he actually invented the cash tag. And so he invented the cash tag, which was then a part of Twitter. In the olden days, Stocktwits, you would go post on Twitter, hashtag Tesla, I am bullish. And then you would go to Stocktwits on the Tesla page to go see the conversation. So I guess he was a founder from back in those days. He's a first investor in Robinhood, eToro. He's a well-known fintech investor, right? And so I knew him from the Cisco VC days, and he introduced me to his ecosystem, but then also all of FinTwit. This is back in 2016. And so then I moved to Asia during COVID and joined AWS, and we wanted to be in Asia for all the, but then the entire growth story and all those things. And so joined AWS in Asia, but then didn't like it and quit. So I called Howard, and he said, "Well, you know what? You're in Singapore. You should come run the whole Stocktwits International, but then plus India business." And so for me, we launched the India business, and that was off to a good start. I was there for about 3-4 years, I guess working remote from Singapore, helping to get the India business then set up. And then, but then a big change happened at the top, and then here I am. So Howard's back as CEO, and I'm president and GM. So
let me ask you a question. So starting the India business, this was how long ago?
2020.
Okay, so 3-4 years ago. Yeah. 3-4 years ago, anybody that's in the markets or just reads a daily headline will see how the Indian markets recently have just exploded, right? So has your business there kind of escalated and exploded along with the markets? I mean, I have to imagine that is an unbelievably captive audience.
100%, right? So in India, Stocktwits is one of the largest and fastest growing brands on social media altogether. We have 700,000 Instagram followers. We have a very large audience on Stocktwits itself. And so 100%. We're partners with CNBC. We're actually integrated with India's CNBC page, where we have 2 separate pages where our feeds show up on the website. And then Times Group is a very strategic partner of us. They're India's largest media firm. And so,
awesome.
We have a great foundation in India. It's a massive market. I think it's 7 or 8% equity adoption at this point, and there's a huge long runway ahead.
Yeah,
and by the way, like Indians love options and trading, and so it's actually the exact right target audience for us too.
That's awesome, and let's talk exactly what Stocktwits what it does, what it really encapsulates in the entire marketplace. Because I know for Prosper, right, we're a community. We have 16,000 students who can log on anytime during the day. And especially in our business in finance and trading, communities are essential because people like to be with like-minded people. Traders love bouncing ideas off of one another. Also, on the flip side of that, misery loves company. So when things aren't, when things aren't necessarily going great, they love to share those emotions. But in this day and age of instant gratification, of instant news, these social type communities, I think, are really essential for the retail trader here. So I know that's what Stocktwits really does. It's really a platform for traders, investors to share ideas, share insights. How do you grow on that? How do you build that?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess first off, so Stocktwits is actually, probably, I guess what I call the largest online community of the most active investors in the world, right? So we're not the biggest. I think Twitter, X, is probably bigger than us, but Stocktwits is surprisingly big. And it's also, I guess, targets the most active investor, right? So what that means is, I guess Twitter is great if you want a thought piece on why NVIDIA is overvalued and those kind of things, right?
Sure.
But people on Stocktwits, are tracking price action 24/7.
Right. It's real time.
It's real time, right? They're not trying to grow a subscription business. They're not necessarily trying to, I guess, monetize the other products. They're hardcore traders and investors, and that's what they live and breathe. And they want a place to go and interact, share, communicate, and also like share wins and losses, as you said. So, memes on, but down days for video are quite exciting, and then but even for strong up days, right? So it's a fun place to be, right? And so, that's the biggest differentiation for us is the real time nature, right? And so for us, the last 10 years have been really focused on building a brokerage. We've now exited that business. We're no longer in the brokerage business.
Okay.
We're hardcore going to go back to the OG roots and the OG playbook and build, I guess the world's largest pure play social community in the world, right? And so the next feature that we're going to launch that I'm super, super duper excited about is earnings calls. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start hosting all earnings calls on Stocktwits. And this is a massive deal because right now to go listen to a earnings call, you have to go to the investor relations website.
Exactly. And
I've done it. Right?
Well, I do it because I need to do it, but it is a pain in the what to do that. So yeah, if there's a 100%. Central place to go, and I know if you go into Stocktwits, anybody that has the app or you go into the website, there is a tab, there's a whole section just for earnings. So is that where these earnings calls are going to be also?
Nope. It's going to be front and center. It's going to be
love it.
A whole section up front called events. And you're going to be able to see Tesla and, Elon talking about Tesla and Jensen and NVIDIA and, all the way down the curve, all the way to small caps and micro caps and all those things. And so that's what we're going to do. And you're going to have a small window that pops up and it's going to have, the audio call going on, the chat in real time, and then a bull bear meter that slides here, where you can press bull bear and you'll see the whole tug of war happen in real time, right? So it'll be a fun place.
So that's part of it also because honestly, investotainment is really part of what we do. So what you're saying is you get your users actually being interactive. They're not just listening to the earnings conference call. They're interacting. They're giving their opinions. That's what like-minded communities, that's how they succeed, and that's how people really get ingrained with a community. Almost like I'm not a huge fan of Discord, but it's kind of like a Discord channel. Getting a following there, you get in there, but something like this though, where you can push a button and say, yeah, this is great, and have your opinion counted in real time. That's what people want.
Exactly right. Like for us, like it's how can we do more and more things that go so deep down the vertical finance, investing, trading community that the comparisons to Twitter, Reddit, Discord go away. That's the goal, right? Because we're going to go so deep in this vertical that no one else wants to go because they're all focused on gaming and sports and politics and whatever else that are larger markets, right? But for us, this is all we live, breathe and think about, right? This is basically for investors, I guess by investors, for investors effectively, right? So that's how I think about Stocktwits' future and the roadmap.
So let me ask you a question, and this maybe brings it over to the dark side a little bit. Because of the access people have, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's, I don't know, is there a moderator that's there? So is there kind of the eye in the sky that if someone starts posting something, there's info that isn't true, or someone that may want to get in there for a pump and dump scenario type of situation, which listen, there are some bad actors out there, not just here but everywhere. How does that get regulated? How does that get watched? Because there is so much content, and because the availability of news information is at everyone's forefront, not everything that's going to be posted, whether it's on Stocktwits or elsewhere, is actually going to be factual.
100%, right? I mean, I guess first off, I will say every social media, every UGC platform is going to have this problem for
sure,
eternity of time, right?
100%.
Even with AI, like this is kind of the way it's going to be, right? Having said that, we have a community team who is who has a very tough job and who has pretty strict oversight over all actions in the community. And then two, we invest pretty heavily in software. So we invest, like, it's actually one of our biggest expenses after AWS, where we spend quite a bit of money to find bad actors and almost block malicious content before it goes live, right? So this is always going to be a moving target. You have very, I guess with AI, the downside of AI is that even the bad actors have AI, right? Yeah. So it's always kind of a battle, but I think we'll always invest heavily to get there.
So I would just tell people watching, and we tell our students, our customers all the time also, that there is so much information out there. Take everything with a grain of salt, right? Somebody that acts on something that they read right away, looking to make a quick buck here, that's not why you're in business. That's not why I'm in business. And so again, that kind of dark side of what we do is there. It's real. Hopefully it's just a very, very small piece of what we both do, but people definitely have to be aware of it.
But one thing I've learned from Howard, by the way, and I guess that I've kind of used Howard, but then as a mentor for the same, is that I believe investing, but then as you, Scott, is best learned by the apprenticeship model. You have to find mentors who you can learn through different cycles, bull markets, bear markets. Yep. It ain't easy, man. It's easy to go follow textbooks. I do it personally, but it's hard to get it right all the time. And it's easy to kind of be long in a bull market, but like when things get volatile, that's when, your wife or spouse calls you and your brother or sister call you and they're pissed off and all those things, right? And so you have to follow pros. You have to learn from mentors, and you have to put skin in the game and feel the emotions of what it's like to manage your own money, even small amounts in real time. So, I'm
glad you just mentioned that, because I'm much older than you. I think I'm a wily veteran. I've been in this business for almost 35 years. I consider myself, and a lot of people in this business will consider me very successful as a trader, but I couldn't have gotten to where I am without my mentor, without the actual person that brought me into this business and showed me the ropes. Yes, a lot different 30 plus years ago, when there was no internet, there was no, go to YouTube and find out what a straddle is, find out what a strategy is. I learned literally in these pits right here from the ground up from my mentor. It's no different now, even though the accessibility of information is you get it in a nanosecond right now. If you don't have someone guiding you, I truly believe that is just a major mistake. So I'm glad that you really hit on that point, because again, I wouldn't be where I am today without my mentor. And this is a shout out. I know he's going to be watching this. Mike Frazen, his acronym was YAS. He took me under his wing. I first started out in the Citicorp pit on the SIBO. So yeah, absolutely same thing. So how do you grow your business, right? I know if I'm right, and correct me on the numbers, about 10 years ago or so, you guys had about 250,000 active members. I know by 2020, right, kind of during the pandemic, that grew to like 3 million. The last I saw, you've got about 5 million active members.
Actually, we have almost 9 million. We have almost 9 million overall users. So, Stocktwits is a sneakily big platform, right? It's a vertical community, but it's sneakily big. And so for us to grow, there's a few things we have to really get right. I guess there's two ways to grow. One is, one is a business side, and then one is a user side. So the user side, it's to do more things that get people in the retail investor workflow. I guess that help position Stocktwits in a clear spot in that workflow, because community is tough, right? Like you come in one day, you're like, all right, well, who do I follow? What do I do? Same with Twitter, and same with Discord, right? How do you find mentors and people to, I guess, follow quick and easy, right? That's number one. Number two is the earnings call and things like that. Number three is trade ideas. So what Yahoo Finance is for news, what TradingView is for charts, we want to be for trade ideas. And we want to curate them. We want to have CMTs and the best professionals on there who have a special verified badge, and it's quality content you're going to get from them, and have that be up in forefront. So if you don't want real-time conversation, you can go follow every day the way you would on Instagram. I guess the Explore tab, you'll know on the Stocktwits Explore tab or our homepage, you'll see the best ideas on the internet. And they're from top-notch people. And so that's the next few ways we want to do it. And then also, Stocktwits is I guess by name, Stocktwits is not that big. We are big in crypto, but it's not as big as we should be. And our name is probably not going to help us there in the near term. And so for us, crypto is a very large market. It's a global market. And then India, again, is a market where, you'll have like 100 million investors in the next 5-10 years, who are first-time traders and investors who love trading. So for us, it's about adding more features that grow the user base, and then also geographies and new markets. And so after India, we'll also think about Australia and the UK and all those things.
Which is perfect because you want to get those trading ideas, you want to get those asset classes that are 24/7, so that it's not just during U.S. market hours. You want to have people engaged literally around the clock. And if you're a non-sleeper like I am, and you're up all night, you're looking for stuff like this. I live and breathe this stuff. You do, and this is, you want that real-time news. Speaking of real-time news, I know there's a great news section on Stocktwits, gives you all the major headlines, what's going on here. There's one part that I really like, and I think it's a summary towards the end of the day. It's called Today's Daily Rip.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Do you write that?
Yeah.
Who writes that?
No. So we have a CMT guy, a CMT professional named Tom Bruni. He's a professional investor. He's our head of market research, and he's the author of the Daily Rip. So he's a phenomenal investor, and he's the guy, right? So, but
tell Tom I love his work.
We'll do. But then, by the way, Scott, we also have a brand new newsletter called Chart Art, where we take the best ideas from the community and kind of have that in your inbox every evening too. I think that's also a good newsletter and an awesome piece of content.
So when you say best ideas of the community, people just submit their ideas, or it's something that's posted and then you guys filter through them and say, hey, this one is great, this one's great, or how does that work? Because that's really interesting to me.
So we have a community team, and they kind of go give the best, call it 20, 30 ideas in a day that they see on the streams. And they share that with Tom Bruni, who's a CMT. And then he'll go through and he'll filter which charts make the most sense and which he agrees with the most. And then that's what goes in the newsletter.
That's awesome. I would. I'd love to be a part of that one. Because exactly. That's perfect.
Awesome. It's great content.
And speaking of CMT, they have a new CEO at the top who's actually a very good friend of mine, Tyler Wood.
Yeah, same here. Good friend.
There we go. So maybe we can have a Zoom coffee or a Zoom beverage one day, since we're all in different parts of the world here. But that's so great. So you guys are really touching all parts of fintech, which is what, that's what people want. People want a centralized location, right? Even though, I've got my 16,000 students that follow me, and I've got my charts here, there, and the other, I don't want to have 79 tabs open during the day to aggregate my news source, to aggregate my news flow. I want it all in one centralized location. And there are certainly a lot of platforms out there, but it sure seems that Stocktwits really just kind of checks that off for me.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. And then also, Scott, I guess one big thing we're going to start doing in a lot bigger and more upfront way is really give the power of retail sentiment as a tool that's more accessible to retail investors. Now, in the past, large institutions know how to use retail sentiment in a very easy way. They have large data science, large NLP, large AI NLP teams, right? And so they kind of use data from Twitter, Stocktwits, Reddit, and Discord and the like. And so for us, it's about how we can take that data and kind of create interesting data sets and again tools that help add value on top of existing tools. So for example, whether it's screeners or whether it's a moving average or a new or a new way to look at RSI with sentiment, for example. And so all that's a huge new, a whole new line of work that's is happening at the same time.
So for option geeks like me, who really focus in on implied volatility. I mean, I'm an implied volatility 100%. Trader, right? So you can get into any niche you want, but that for me would be incredible, because when I'm making a decision on what to trade, it's not just directional. It's all based on where volatility is. If we're in a environment where premium levels are really, really low, whatever I decide to do is probably going to be with a buy bias towards option premium. If we're in an environment where VIX is elevated a little bit, things are getting a little shaky out there, I'm probably going to lean towards the sell sentiment. So that would be incredibly, incredibly useful for me, and probably a lot of people, because I think at least what I see with many of the people I interact with is they don't understand the volatility part of the marketplace. Certainly, you can hop on and get on a direction, when NVIDIA is running up, buying NVIDIA calls, or on the way down, so on and so forth. But maybe that's not the best play. And if people understood volatility more, gives them a different option, no pun intended, on how to play a certain scenario. So
definitely 100%.
Awesome.
Agreed.
So when's the next time you're stateside? And, we were together a couple weeks ago in New York at the NASDAQ for a bell ringing. When's the next time you're over here at the SIBO? Because I want to get you here. I'm going to flip my camera a little bit. I want to get you.
Awesome.
I want to get you right there to ring either the opening or the closing bell here. And that's the real.
I have a lot of friends. I guess I have a lot of friends in Chicago. I'm definitely due a trip. But I come every 2 months, but my wife's actually giving birth to our second kid in September.
Unreal. So congratulations.
Thank you. So now it's a bit of a, kind of gray area where probably not so much for the next few months, but then hopefully after all that, goes successful, hopefully end of the year or the new year.
Well, Stocktwits business, all that is great, but nothing's better than what you just mentioned. So congratulations to you, your wife, your family. That's unbelievable. And let me just tell you from experience, because I've got kids that are all grown between 20 and 30, the time just flies. Take advantage of every second with them. Take all of those pictures. Don't get rid of them. Upload them, store them somewhere, because one day you are going to be, you're just going to sit back and say, holy crap, where did this time go?
That's great advice, Scott. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me. I mean, this is great. I am so super excited about Stocktwits. It's something that I use. I know a lot of my students use it. I think it's an incredibly, incredibly valuable tool out there to again, separate some of the noise that's out there in FinTwit, and just get everything into a centralized location. So please keep me up to date with that new earnings call section, when that's going to be available, and anything else, so that I can blast it out to all of my, my
we'll
students
have Nike.
in our
I think
world.
We'll have but we're going to miss Micron. We're going to have Nike, I think, this week. We're aiming for Nike.
Nice. But Micron's today, Nike, after the close. Tomorrow's Nike.
Exactly. So if not Nike, definitely for bank earnings in July. But we're aiming for Nike. So fingers crossed, it should all happen by tomorrow.
FedEx would have been a good one to be on yesterday with that move that it made. That was a more than a 2 standard deviation move for all you statistic and probability people out there. So, all right, again, Shiv, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure meeting you in person when we were in New York together. And good luck. Let's keep in touch. Let's keep the dialogue open here, and this was phenomenal. So I can't thank you enough. Shiv Sharma from Stocktwits.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Scott. Good to see you again.
Take care, bud.
The Minds of Markets podcast is an exploration, a deep dive into the minds of some of the best traders and investors in the market. Our goal is to help you, the listener, learn from some of the best out there to improve your knowledge and skill set as a trader or investor. The Minds of Markets podcast should be used for information and entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed in this podcast are our opinions only, and none of the information contained in this podcast constitutes a recommendation that any particular security, portfolio of security, transaction, or investment strategy is suitable for any specific person. Trading is risky, and past performance is not a guarantee of future results.